everyone. Today on the G3 Boardroom, we're going to be reviewing Meeples and Monsters. This was a 2022 Kickstarter. It's a really fun game. When the rule book is about 12 pages total with the setup and frequently asked questions. So the rule book is not that thick. There is a lot of stuff going on. So there's kind of a lot to take in. When I first got this game, first started looking at it, I was looking through the rule book and it was really, really difficult. And I'm like, I'm not going to get this. But, when I laid out the game and started running through some turns, it made a lot of sense very quickly.
Whenever I'm confused about a game, I always flip it over to Dave. They'll figure it out.
It's all good. I enjoyed it. If you watch our playthrough, which I encourage you to do, I did not come even close to winning this game, but I still really, really enjoyed it. There's a lot going on in this game, and like most games, it's going to take you a couple, 2 or 3 plays to really understand exactly what you're trying to accomplish each turn, each round. But I really, really enjoyed it. I like it's got worker placement options. It's got, I don't know if you would really call it resource management, but you definitely have to make some choices about how you're going to place your meeples and how effective is it going to be. Are you trying to play the long game, which I was trying to play, and it didn't quite work out for me.
Oh, you did come back though. I mean, it was, you ended up 8 points behind the winner, but you were 20.
They dropped 2 massive hammers in the last 2 turns.
I tried.
And,
But no, I would highly recommend this game. There's a lot of variety. You need a little bit of luck based on what you draw out of the bag.
Yeah.
But again, that comes down to how did you set up your bag? Because you can manipulate this by dumping some of your pieces and adding more powerful meeples into your bag.
And there's so many different combos of meeples that give you bonuses. So there's a lot to keep track of. But
And I think that's where the coming into play this a couple, 2 or 3 times, and you start understanding the bonuses and how these quests, when you accomplish these quests, it really can trigger some really powerful bonuses for your different types of meeples.
And with the quests, you get these quests that you have to fulfill, and some of them can be fulfilled. Some are at the end of the game, but some of them, if you happen to have certain meeples in your tavern during a certain phase, and there's a lot of times when that I could have done that, but I just hadn't checked my quest cards.
I misunderstood some of my quest cards. I really did, because I looked at one that was defeat a level 2 monster with 2 peasants. And so I'm like, okay, how am I going to boost my peasants up enough?
It's impossible.
It's impossible. And so it's like, and then Dave did it. I'm like, geez, I totally misinterpreted that. So then the next turn even, I was like, okay, I'll throw these 2 peasants over here with this guy. So I misinterpreted that. That's on me.
No, that comes from playing the game a couple times.
Mm-hmm. I will say this. This game is a deck builder. It's a deck builder. You draft new cards, the cards go in your discard pile, they go back in your deck, and you draw them. It's a deck builder.
Even so, because you've got your corrupt ones that you're always drawing that don't do anything. So it's like your wounds, and then you got your peasants that
It's a deck builder.
Yeah.
I can see that. If you ever played Quacks of, I can never say the Quacks or Quattenberg, whatever. It has some elements of that, because in there you're drafting potion elements and you're trying to pull out the powerful potion elements.
Okay.
So I could see that. I could see the elements of a deck builder, but with meeples instead.
Once I thought of it as a deck builder, I'm like, oh, I'm good at deck building. and off I went.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because you were hanging around the back, then sort of in mid-game,
I figured out,
you just started
deck builder,
taking,
right?
taking off.
I enjoyed the game. The meeples are wooden little meeples, just like they would be. Why wouldn't they be? I'd sleeve the cards, of course. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually.
Yes, yes.
But there comes a point in a game like this, sometimes you do get a bummer of a draw, or you start to fall behind. I'm actually surprised Dave caught up that much, because Dave was way down in the dumps for a while there, but he had those last 2 turns where he did have good enough draws to catch back up. I wanted to hit these guys early because I had a few draws where I'm like, oh, I can hit one of these guys, and you wouldn't let me. Something about the rules. But you get some randomness out of it. You get enough random of these rooms here, and you can only fit so many. And so, we got a pile left over here. You get a little bit of randomness with what comes out in the quest. You get some randomness with how it shows up in the deck. But part of the game that I always neglect. There's always one portion in these games that I neglect or forget about or just don't do. And for me, it was upgrading my guys. You know, I'm like,
it was one of my quests
because
I
I
had
want
to.
to use my guys to do other things. I don't want to spend them to upgrade them. It's like an afterthought, and that would be a strategic failing on my part.
But most of them, the upgrades are really worth it. Some of them, like the mage, the upgrades aren't great. I only upgraded mine because one of my end game quests was to have 4 of my guys upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree that it's one of those, again, about resource management. Do I want to use my, and then you want to say it as a card, do I want to dump this card to get a better card?
Yeah.
In this case, it's a meeple.
You know, there's enough randomness that comes out in this game to keep it fresh enough for you. Like I said, there's different rooms that pop out. We've had a couple different variations out here. I do think these are kind of funny. The King of the Hill ones, we got to wait for it to come back around on your turn. And, you know, it can feel like I was picking on Dave. It can feel that way sometimes with the King of the Hill ones.
Yeah.
Right before it gets to your turn, someone takes them from you. It's like,
Well, it wasn't that. It's like you let him slide twice, but anytime I put it on a meeple on there, you're like, nope, you're not having it.
I don't mean to let anybody slide.
You let him slide twice.
Okay, well, twice. Yeah, I let you slide. But I'm sure you collected at least once, so it was only half the time.
It was at the end of the game where you're like, he's so far behind, it doesn't matter.
But, you know, the other thing is the super upgrade guys, super upgrade meeples, those are really cool to get and really cool to use. So if you can manipulate those, or you can get those into your bag, like Dave got the shaman, but he wasn't able to use them at all. I got the ranger, I wasn't able to use them all, but we all got the paladin, we were all able to use that successfully. But again, those are dependent on the tiles that come out.
Right.
If you don't draw those tiles, you're not going to see those guys.
Yeah, I took the tack of go for the quick, cheap, easy points quickly, and I started off way ahead.
Way
but
out to
then,
the lead there.
Yeah, but then while they were building up, getting better guys, I didn't get my paladin until way late. So Jason passed me, but I came close to, because I had some really good quests that were end game. I came close to winning at the end. But there's a lot of ways to play the game, and there's a lot of replayability just with the variation of the quests and the rooms and the monsters.
I enjoyed this game. I really did.
Yeah, I could see the balance. That's why I think there is a balance. And again, what makes a game great, or at least in many cases, that there's not one path to victory.
Right.
There's a bunch of strategies in this game. There's no way, I know exactly what I need to do to win this game. No.
Yeah.
It really, there's a lot of different ways you could probably win this game without feeling like there's only one path to victory.
And it did come down, it really came down to the last 2 turns. I had a good draw and I knocked out one of these guys. Dave had 2 good draws, he knocked out 2 of these guys, and I think you hit 1 as well. But if you get those good draws at the right time, you can really shoot up the point scale with these things.
Yeah.
But even these, aren't there a number of these in the box? We got different variations.
The different bonuses for and there's like 6 of them, so it'll move around a lot.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about the expansions that come with this game.
Oh yeah.
Right, the tower expansion did come with the Kickstarter, but that does add a lot more stuff to it. I love everything about this game. I love the meeples, the colors of all the cards. It comes with not 1 but 4 bags.
4 bags. They're color coded.
I like
team you are.
I like the player boards. I like this board. It's not too cutesy. I mean, I love like the Munchkin games. It sort of looks a little bit like that, the art style, but it's not. It's a little bit more serious, and I love the kind of the basic. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's easy once you start playing.
Yeah. Once you get it rolling.
The artwork reminds me a little bit of Tiny Epic Dungeons.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of something else. The only thing I don't like about this game, Tiny Epic Dungeons, when we did our playthrough, it was like 2.5 hours. I mean, there was nothing tiny about that. And this one,
Preach it, Jay.
the box says 45 minutes to an hour. Our playthrough was 2 hours.
The box lies.
And there was a lot of turns where we were just flying. It was like, I'm attacking this monster, get it, and that's my turn. And it still took a long time.
I can imagine when you become more experienced in this game, you probably cut it down to an hour and a half max. But yeah, I don't see how you could ever finish a game in 45 minutes.
And that was not, then setup took a little while too, but it took us a good 2 hours to play this game.
The box lies.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
we had fun. It was a fun 2 hours. But
You know, even when we were setting up and looking at it, and you said it was 45 minutes, I said so an hour and a half.
yeah,
You know, but no, I would recommend this one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's
I enjoyed it
fun.
quite a
It's
bit.
a lot of fun.
For a competitive game where I would rather play cooperative games with these guys because these guys are my friends, and I feel angst when I'm competing. But it's a fun game. I liked it a lot.
it was sort of like the competitiveness was. I wasn't advancing at their expense. You know, we're all just sort of advancing on our own and not sort of messing with anyone. The only thing is there's a couple of these King of the Hill rooms where, you know, if I can stay in there for a whole round, I get a bonus.
Yeah,
but
it's a tiny bonus. It's not
yeah,
enough.
it's not that big of a deal.
This one's huge. To draw extra guys, that's huge. But
Yeah.
no, there's very little ways. I mean, with only these two rooms, there's very minimal ways you can impact the other players, other than taking from them monster cards that might
yeah.
somehow assist them. I get it
Yeah.
before you, or I get it to keep it from you.
Right.
You know, but there's very minimal ways you can mess with other people.
Which is
Except
good,
For
which-
the first player marker, which you can stab you from.
Which is good. You know, it makes it competitive, but not
Not super competitive.
not directly competitive. Yeah, not super competitive, where I'm attacking them and taking away their points and things like that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what the MSRP on it is, but if it's even, is it for sale? Oh, it came out last year, so yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when it came out. Just 2022 Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's got enough elements in different types of games that I think it has a niche for whatever type of game you're looking for.
Yeah. Deck builder.
Yeah.
Deck builder, resource
A
management,
Meeple deck builder.
worker placement, whatever it is.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave us a like. We'd love to get a subscribe from you and support our channel. If you've ever played this game, leave us a comment. If you have not played this game, we all three of us, we recommend they do play it. That you set aside a nice chunk of time, 2 hours,
Yeah.
and play this game.
And make sure you take all the pieces out of the box.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that could be a problem. During our playthrough, we got to a point where Dave was trying to pick up these yellow meeples. They're like, oh, there's no more, so you can't get any of them. And a few minutes later, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there's more in the box. So luckily, it didn't have a huge impact on the game.
It did.
But
Like 3 times I wanted to get one, I couldn't get one.
And make sure you police your own turn so people don't accidentally give you the wrong pieces back.
Yeah, that happens. That happens.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, other than that, we'll see you in the next video.